You know, this new generation.
They managed to have an instrument, and they played music. They sure did. They was talented. They had that talent.
And I think that's great. I think the hardest thing was to bring it out my book. I do want to tell a story that happened about, I guess it's been 50 to 55 years ago. And for those of you that were there, you'll remember this. But one day we were having a family reunion, get-together up at Ellery Irvin's house. And I wanted to go, and across the street from me was a young guy. He had a yellow Cushman Eagle motor scooter cycle, which is sort of like a miniature motorcycle. And his name was Durwood White. And we were talking about the debate we were going to get together, and Durwood said, well, I think I want to go. He didn't have much of a band, just kind of he and his mom and dad. So I got on the back of that yellow Cushman Eagle with Durwood up to the country that we went, and we pulled in there at Ellery's house. Of course, most of the kids in our family have never seen anything like that before. So he enjoyed the day with us. And the reason I tell you that story is that a week ago yesterday, my friend, who's been my friend all my life, died. He was a Vietnam War veteran. He was a decorated Vietnam War veteran. And he had been exposed to Agent Orange and a lot of chemicals in the war. And he had struggled physically and mentally in many ways since the war had ended. And towards the end of his life here about 3 months ago, he came down with pancreatic cancer, and it moved quickly and swiftly through his body. And last week ago Saturday, he died. But in some way, Jim White, which is what we called him, we didn't call him Durwood anymore. It's like, you know, we don't say Johnny, and we say John, you know, Billy and Bill and all those kinds of things. But I guess we called him Jim when he became a man. But he was a part of us. He was a part of me. And like you, when you're gone, I will miss you as well. I will be sad, but let's remember these times that we do have together because we are family. Thank you all very much. Anybody else have anything that they want to say? Johnny, taking pictures. I hope that you'll have a chance to see the photographs that he has over there. One of the ones that caught my attention was the family get-together, and the young girl over on the right-hand side, I can't remember her name right this minute, but as we were doing the genealogy research, the only thing we could remember that anybody had to say about her was when she died. She died as a young child, and she fell off the porch while pushing a chair. And I always wanted to be able to put something with that girl's name rather than seeing her fall off that porch while pushing a chair. And that allows me to do that. Her grave is at Glenville Methodist Church. It's almost worn out. You just about have to take a pencil and kind of highlight over it to be able to see it, because really and truly we need the money to replace that, because it's not going to be very many years. It'll be just totally invisible to read. Actually, two of our family members are buried there. One name's on one side and hers is on the other. So we kind of saved the money, I guess, by using the same tombstone for both of them. But I hope you enjoy those photographs as well.
One thing we didn't mention, I hope everyone knows there is a a historical marker at the Bailey School. I don't remember us talking about it last year or this year at all. And that's something that Aunt Orlean, I believe, started, and Mama helped her. And I helped them with some paperwork, so that's how I know it was going on. We did that in 2003. That's when that finally got together, and it's placed right up there where the school was. Is Aunt Orlean. You know how these Baileys are. They're studying everything all the time, man. They'll study something to death. And Mama's bad about that too. She'll admit it.
She loved history.
Yeah, she loved history. But she was getting on. She was in her 90s then. 91, I believe, because she died at 93. But anyway, she was having a hard time with this story. And she would write, she was down in that assisted living, and she'd write longhand, you know, these stories, and then she'd mail them to Mama. You know, she wasn't faxing them or email. So we'd wait 2 or 3 days and get this thing, and she'd call, and they'd have an hour-long conversation about, no, we don't want this, no, take that out. No, my hand is not as fast as my brain. I'm messing this, you know, she worried. She worried about the actual text that's on that thing, on that plaque, because the state only gave you so many letters. Literally, so many letters, so many spaces, it would only fit. We worked that thing, I don't know. I don't know. 12 or 14, 15 times, you know, and this was over 3 or 4 months, just the wording on that plaque. But that's really neat to see. And in some of my research, there was a fellow named Artis Weems who went to the Bailey School, and I just found his own website. He has stories of Friday's Crossing and growing up, you know, times was rough, you know, those stories, both up and down hills in the snow, barefooted both ways, all that stuff. He had all of that, but then he also had a picture of himself standing at that sign, Bailey School. And Mama told me a story about him, because I asked her. In his story, he talked about Aunt Orlean living there at the, you know, with the Baileys and whatnot. And so I asked Mama about it last fall. Do you remember what you said? When I said, do you remember Artis Weems? Do you remember what you said? You don't? Anything about peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold. I eat them any way my bowl will hold.
She said he used to run around singing that all the time. That's all she remembered about that kid. He's probably a pretty good kid, but he just run around screaming that all the time. So that was neat to see him pointing at his old Bailey School. There's a lot of stuff I can tell you about.